Hello and welcome back to Game Domain. In today's video we are going to be continuing our Top Sellers series, where we look back at some of our favorite consoles and what games were each console's top sellers. Today we are going to be looking at one of the most popular handheld consoles of all time, Nintendo's Game Boy Advance. The Game Boy Advance, or GBA for short, was released in 2001 as a newer and more powerful version of Nintendo's Game Boy line. The GBA was able to play any Game Boy or Game Boy Color game, as well as the new Game Boy Advance cartridges. The GBA sold about 81.5 million units worldwide, and the system's market was dominated by one main franchise, but still housed an array of Nintendo classics that fans can still pop in and enjoy today. Now, let's get on with the video and see what games get to call themselves top sellers. What would a Nintendo top sellers list be without at least one Mario game, right? Well, this list is no different, and coming in as the 5th best-selling GBA game is Super Mario Advance 2. Upon the GBA's release, Nintendo needed a good Mario game that everybody could enjoy, from kids to adults. The idea of a Super Mario World-like handheld adventure inspired them, and right away they began development. Nintendo released Super Mario Advance alongside the GBA, both on the same day. This was a great marketing idea for Nintendo, to which they are no stranger, as it gave fans a classic character with a familiar adventure to start with on their new console. The game featured the original storyline of Super Mario Bros. 2, but gave fans an enhanced and great handheld experience. Super Mario Advance did incredibly on the shelves, prompting Nintendo to add a second installment into the series. In 2002, Super Mario Advance 2 was brought into US homes, and fans were excited to play Super Mario World on the go. The game's plot is the same as the original Super Mario World, just configured for the Game Boy Advance. You can choose to play as either Mario or Luigi and venture through Dinosaur Land in your quest to save Princess Peach from the evil wrath of Bowser. After saving the princess, you are crowned victorious. Super Mario Advance 2 proved to be very successful for Nintendo, as it found its way into 5.69 million Game Boy Advances and received a 92% rating on Metacritic. Mario Kart. One of the most nostalgia-filled franchises of all time. And this is definitely something that Nintendo is aware of, as after the global fiscal success and popularity of Mario Kart 64, they brought the series down to a new handheld path. In 2001, Nintendo gave fans Mario Kart Super Circuit, the third installment in the Mario Kart series, and the first to be released on a handheld console. Super Circuit took features, characters, and maps from the previous two Mario Karts and blended them with new features, characters, and maps to give fans a great on-the-go experience. The graphics were revolutionary for the time, as many people were shocked and amazed that a game of such power could be played on this small little device. This enlightened some fans who refused to get the GBA, as they were now encouraged to go out and get one due to its true power. Super Circuit brought out the best in fans' competitiveness, and it also brought out the best in the GBA. Due to Super Circuit's exploitation of the Game Boy Advance's engine and fun gameplay, it was able to sell 5.91 million copies worldwide, and found itself as the 4th best-selling GBA game of all time. Now we are at a point where the GBA's sales were dominated by another particular franchise. This franchise was able to take over the gaming world in barely 2 years, quickly becoming one of the most successful and popular franchises of all time. And yes, you guessed it, Pokemon. Pokemon's first two generations were able to dominate the Game Boy and Game Boy Color markets, and the third generation did no different to the Game Boy Advance. So coming in at the number 3 spot on the GBA's top sellers list is Pokemon Emerald, the third counterpart to Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. Emerald follows the basic storyline of Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, but has a decent amount of aesthetic and plot changes that helps to differ it from its predecessors. The end of the game is focused around awakening the legendary Pokemon Rayquaza in order to stop Kyogre and Groudon from destroying the world in their battle. You venture to the Sky Pillar and summon the legendary dragon, who travels to Pseudopolis City and halts the destruction. Afterwards, you can go back to the Sky Pillar and catch Rayquaza for yourself. Kyogre and Groudon are also available after you become champion, both being catchable at level 70. Pokemon Emerald also showcases different sprites for both the male and female protagonists, Brendan and May, as well as the battle sprites for every Pokemon. Emerald also makes improvements on the double battle feature, as you can now face 2 different types of trainers instead of a couple, and you can also battle with other characters. Emerald also brought fans one of the most beloved features in all of Pokemon, the Battle Frontier. Upon becoming champion, you will receive a ticket for the SS title, which takes you to the Battle Frontier. The Battle Frontier is an island in the southeastern part of Hoenn, and houses an array of 7 different battle arenas for trainers to partake in. Emerald only sold 5.91 million copies due to its correlation to Ruby and Sapphire, but many still consider it the ultimate Pokemon experience and one that every fan should play. Metacritic gave Pokemon Emerald a 76% rating as they believe the game is good in its own right, but is too similar to Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. So if you haven't played Pokemon Emerald and don't own the cartridge, we strongly suggest you download a ROM and see for yourself why this game is a top seller. Coming in as the number 2 top selling GBA game is another Pokemon adventure, Pokemon FireRed and LeafGreen. These games were the second in Pokemon's GBA line of games, and the first Pokemon remakes. FireRed and LeafGreen were both remakes of the original 2 Pokemon games, Pokemon Red and Blue. After Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire's release, fans realized how great the Pokemon world could look on the Game Boy Advance, and began to fathom the idea of what the Kanto region would look like with such enhanced graphics. Nintendo began to look at this idea as well, and in 2004 they released Pokemon FireRed and LeafGreen. Coming off of a brand new adventure the year before, fans were delighted to re-immerse themselves into the Kanto region. You can play as either Red or the new female protagonist Leaf, as the original games did not have a playable female character. Although these games followed the exact same storyline as the originals, there are many new and different features added to enhance the Kantonian experience. The main 2 of these features would be the graphics, of course, and the addition of the Sevi Islands, an archipelago consisting of 9 different islands that lies just south of the Kanto region. On these islands you can find various different quests, as well as encountering some new Pokemon that even Professor Oak hasn't seen before. The Kanto region is also presented in a whole new way, as the GBA's engine is used to make the game full of vibrant colors and beautiful sounds. FireRed and LeafGreen certainly have more to offer than their originals, and that shows how they were able to sell 12 million copies worldwide. Now, let's move on to the number 1 spot and see what game gets to call itself the GBA's top seller. The previous 2 spots were taken up by Pokemon games, so what makes the top spot any different? Actually, the answer is nothing, because the top spot belongs to yet another Pokemon game. And yes, the GBA's top-selling game is Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. After Pokemon's world domination phase, the craze began to die down, and many thought it would be the end of the franchise. But after the release of the Game Boy Advance, Game Freak and Nintendo teamed up again to create a whole new world for fans to enjoy. In 2003, in the US, Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire were released and immediately struck the hearts of fans. These games were criticized at the time, as Pokemon popularity was at its lowest point and a large majority of the fan base aged out of playing the games. But as many say, Pokemon will never die, and the series prevailed and was able to sell 16.2 million copies of these brand new Hoenn adventures. Players indulged in the tropical land of Hoenn, made up of 1 main island and other small islands. They beat one of the 2 evil teams, Team Magma in Ruby and Team Aqua in Sapphire, and crowned themselves as champion of the Pokemon League. These games completely changed the game of Pokemon with all new gameplay mechanics, as well as the introduction of Pokemon natures and abilities. Each nature and ability has a different effect on the Pokemon, whether it's its type, move, or a status ailment. But in the end, Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire added a lot to the Pokemon franchise and are very worthy of their spot as the Game Boy Advance's top seller. So what did you guys think of today's video? Do you own any of the games in the top seller list? What console would you like us to look at next? Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching Game Domain.